Sonic R began development not long after the release of Sonic 3D Blast, with Sega asking Traveler's Tales if they wanted to develop another Sonic game, but this time it would be a racing game. The two companies merged for the project. Key goals of the development included having a steady 30 frames per second and using polished 3D modeling, as well as creating unique courses that still had the classic Sonic feel to them. Sonic R was only in development for 9 months and was rushed onto store shelves at the end of the year in 1997. Despite the short development time, Sonic R was initially received in a positive light, so we will have to see if I share the same feelings. But before we dive into the game proper, let's take a quick look at Sonic R's plot. The story is extremely simple, as you might have guessed. Sonic and Tails take a holiday. Tails notices an advertisement for a World Grand Prix that Dr. Robotnik is participating in. Sonic decides to participate simply because his arch-rival is doing so. Turns out the World Grand Prix was one giant trap created by Dr. Robotnik to distract Sonic and Tails while the clever antagonist looks for the Chaos Emeralds. It's up to Sonic and Tails, assisted by Knuckles and Amy, to win the World Grand Prix while also collecting the Chaos Emeralds before Dr. Robotnik does. The story is not even lightly mentioned in the game itself, and it's contained solely in Sonic R's manual. Considering the fact that this is a racing game, I applaud not only the simplicity of the story, but also how it's not getting in the way of the fun. No text, no cutscenes, you just boot up the game and select your mode. With that said, I wouldn't have minded a cutscene or two, but the fact that there's little story in Sonic R as a whole can only be taken as a positive. Now, Sonic R is a racing game that has the Sonic cast racing on foot, for the most part. I have to compliment this decision. While I didn't necessarily mind Sonic being in a car, in the modern Sega racing games it obviously makes a lot more sense for Sonic and his friends to be on foot. The menus are a little boring, but they get the job done. You have your usual options menu, and the main modes are selected this way as well. Immediately booting up the character select screen, I got curious. 4 out of 10 characters are unlocked at the start, with one of them being not grayed out. Why tease Dr. Robotnik if you can't select him off the bat? Whatever. Judging the characters themselves, they are not mere cosmetic coats of paint like you would assume they would be for playing other kart racers. Sonic is the fastest and has a double jump. Sonic has probably the hardest handling of all the characters in the game. Oh, that reminds me, many people have criticized Sonic R's controls, and while it's a little premature for me to tackle them specifically, I have to mention that criticism is aimed at the controls really without any thought. When people have a hard time turning Sonic, they don't realize it's intentional handling. This bites back at the game for not having a handling bar for all the characters though, I do admit that. Still though, if the characters vary in handling, then let the damn racing game do that. On to the next character. Tails is fairly slow and can fly for a limited time as you'd expect. Knuckles can glide, which does function differently from Tails mind you, and he handles differently at a decent speed. Those 3 characters are the most often used, by many including myself, as the rest are not bad, but a little too technical for many players to get invested into. Amy is riding in a red car with her speed being poor, but she makes up for it with great handling and a boost feature. She cannot move while boosting, so make sure you use it at only the best of times. What's neat is that Amy won't slow down over water, which is a nice bonus. Dr. Robotnik is unlocked upon beating the game, and he has a meh speed and a meh handling, but can fire a missile at surrounding racers to slow them down. The problem is that the missile's range is awful, so overall Robotnik is not very great to play as. The secret characters are unlocked in a neat way that will increase your playtime. Collect 5 gold Sonic coins and get first place in the race. It's a bit random as to whether you'll succeed, but it eloquently disperses some tension during the 3rd lap of the race. If you succeed, you still have to race the special character Mono e Mono. If victorious, the character is yours. Metal Sonic, Tails Doll, Metal Knuckles, and Egg Robo. To save time, I'll briefly cover these. Metal Sonic? Great. Tails Doll? On par with Dr. Robotnik, sadly. Metal Knuckles? Pretty good. Egg Robo? Decent. There's an overall problem with every character I mentioned that came after Knuckles. and this is how complex these characters are. You kinda have to find ways to make them good, and spend a lot of time finding the best ways to use their distinctive abilities. That's just not enticing. I still praise the unlockable characters for attempting to have diversity in the roster, but they clash with the simplistic yet enticing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Both design mentalities for characters shouldn't be in the same racing game, is my main point here. On one hand, I feel that Sonic R's roster has depth to it, making it at least worth trying all of the characters, but at a greater glance, this makes the balancing a tad off. It's nothing horrible, at least until you unlock Super Sonic, which I'll get to later, but still. I'll stick to the main trio, and maybe play as Amy, Metal Sonic, and Metal Knuckles if I feel like it. Sonic R's presentation is fairly impressive for 1997. Straight to the truth, the graphics look very nice. Certain weather conditions make certain stages look absolutely stunning, I might add. You can toggle the weather conditions if you want a specific aesthetic, and the time of day is also another random element, but sadly the feature to toggle the time of day was removed due to time constraints. 9 months, folks. The texture work lives up to what Traveler's Tales and Sonic Team promised, though without the touch of polish it could really use. The graphics look good overall. It doesn't take any analytical person to notice how a lot of the 2D wall textures look just plain bad, but the more and more I look at Sonic R's graphics, the better they actually seem. The character models and objects look great for the most part. Most of the 3D textures are great for the year of release, but other elements such as the aforementioned 2D imagery, as well as the lighting, are on the poor side. Now, and this is the part you've been waiting for. The soundtrack. Well, everyone's gonna point at me if I know it's good or not. It seems like just about all my subscribers know my musical background, so I'm prepared to tell you that Sonic R's soundtrack is good. We'll get to whether if it fits Sonic R in just a moment, but first let's just analyze what we hear. Sonic R's soundtrack consists of a title screen piece, a song for every stage. Yes, you heard that, a song. Song as in has lyrics. Well, again, we'll get to that in a moment. Sonic R's OST also features a credits song and instrumental versions of all of the vocal tracks. Right off the bat, I'll compliment the addition of 2 versions of every song in the game, which gives those an option for people who don't like TJ Davis. Again, we'll get to that in a moment. The composition of the pieces was done by Richard Jacques, who worked on Sonic 3D Blast. They are well-made compositions, but nothing too complex. It's rather too simplistic, in fact. Competing racing games such as Mario Kart 64 had way more complex compositions, so don't tell me because Sonic R is a racing game that it gets a free pass. It does not. On the other hand, however, the instrumentation is superb, with many tracks using a variety of synthesizers, piano, and percussion. It's common that certain tracks will stand out more in their instrumental form, and it has nothing to do with the singer in my opinion. Overall, Sonic R's soundtrack on its own merits is good, and let's not forget that composer Richard Jacques, quote, wrote all of the lyrics for the songs with the intention that they would complement the on-screen action, but still be appealing to someone who had never played the game. With this fact in mind, it no longer seems strange that this is what we got. With R&B, jazz, and soul music inspirations, what could Sonic R's soundtrack possibly sound like with lyrics? Can you feel the sunshine? Does it brighten up the day? Don't you feel that sometimes you just need to run away? Reach out for the sunshine, forget about the rain. Just think about the good times, and they will come back again. You're the one that makes me feel so high. Just like the diamonds in the sky. I never want to hear you say goodbye. You're my diamond in the sky. You're the one that makes me feel so high. Just like the diamonds in the sky. Work it out, think about it. Work it out, talk about it. Work it out, make it happen. Let's work it out. We've got to make it real. We've got to make it real. Huh. British singer TJ Davis is the singer of these songs, and she does a decent job. Not familiar with her work and not entirely interested either. Don't get me wrong, she sings well, just not outstandingly. Overall, as funny as it is to hear these songs be played in the background of a Sonic the Hedgehog game, the song and pieces themselves are good. Not incredible, but worth listening to outside of the main game. I'm very glad to have analyzed the core mechanics thus far, but I can't continue without talking about the controls. Moving forward can be done in two ways. One way is by holding the analog stick forward and then turning by moving up and then to the right or up and to the left. The other way is by holding down the acceleration button and turning by tilting the analog stick directly right and directly left. With both options, you can turn sharper by holding down the triggers. This may sound complex, but really it's just a tool of options. Once again, I counter the common criticisms of this game's control by explaining the following. What you should be doing is holding down the acceleration button, turning directly right and left, and using the trigger buttons to turn the tight corners. What did I describe? I just described the exact controls of Mario Kart 8 and F-Zero GX. If you own all of those games, I swear they all have the same control scheme. Try it. So then that poses a question.
Gavin, how come reviewers can't control Sonic R as well as they can control Mario Kart 8 and F-Zero GX?
It's because they aren't using the acceleration button and are solely relying on the analog stick for movement, which is stupid. The reason that's possible is for precise movement only. Phew. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the courses. Admittedly, a lot more interesting. Wait, I forgot how many courses are in the game. It was 16, right? Oh, then 12? Alright, I'm just gonna find out for myself. 5 courses? That's it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the graphics are good. The soundtrack is good. The characters are pretty good. The game was in development for 9 months, and well, we haven't seen where the cut was. Until now. Well, these better be good is all I have to say. All of them start with the letter R and share alliteration. Still not clever, guys. Come on. Anyway, the first course is Resort Island. The main path is simple, but the course is designed to slowly introduce players to the multiple pathways these stages are filled with. Yes, the biggest strength of these courses in Sonic R are the multiple and complex paths that can be taken, but sometimes they are too complex and a little confusing to traverse through. Anyway, Resort Island looks easy on the eyes and has some varying yet appealing set pieces, such as the ruins and the stone tunnel. Overall, not much can be said about Resort Island, but it's definitely a good track. Next up is Radical City, and I have to say, this is the best track in the game. The city aesthetic is unique to other city levels in the franchise, and I find the set pieces great. Also, these shortcuts are pretty obscure. Regal Ruin. I love this atmosphere and the mystery packed into the course, but the track layout is a little uninspired, all things considered. Reactive Factory is a little bland looking, but has by far the best track layout and set pieces, with the most complex shortcuts and secrets as well. I stated a moment ago that Radical City is the best course in the game, and while I stand by that claim, Reactive Factory is my personal favorite. And the last course, inspired by Rainbow Road from the Mario Kart series, is Radiant Emerald. The graphics and colors are absolutely gorgeous. The lighting too. It's darkly lit yet colorful, and I find this by far the best looking part of Sonic R. Unfortunately, the track layout is not nearly as well designed, but hey, you take some, you lose some, I guess. Overall, each stage houses good and bad qualities, but what's most important is that they are all fun, and have a lot of thought put into them, I think. It's a shame there are only 5, and that's probably the biggest criticism I have of the game thus far. But hey, at least the courses are enjoyable. It's a crime just how little content this game has, but the different modes help soften the blow. Kinda. The goal is to simply tag the other characters, and this mode is a complete failure for a couple of reasons. As some characters, it's difficult to tag other characters that are just simply faster than you, and certain characters will have unbalanced advantages. It's boring. It's just a boring mode. The Grand Prix mode is definitely the most polished, got the most time in development, and has the most depth. I talked about unlocking secret characters in Grand Prix mode, but I also have to mention the Chaos Emeralds. True to Sonic R's plot, there are Chaos Emeralds to be collected on the tracks. They're always hidden behind a giant paywall, so make sure you collect rings. I love the idea of having to go off the beaten path, collect the emerald, and then get back into the race with no sweat. And that aspect is well executed. I think I've been clear on Sonic R's positives throughout this review, but it's best if I cover them once again. Sonic R houses decent replay value if played with friends, has sufficient single player content, and a good presentation as a whole. Some smart and detailed choices as to the game's structure also bring the experience up in my eyes. And something that cannot be excluded from this analysis is the charm Sonic R has. Even though it's very subjective, the inspired music and level designs as well as the sound effects just leave an impact on me, and they certainly did to me as a child, especially the cute character designs. You know, there's something mystical going on with this game, and even Sonic R haters praise the game's charm. I don't really know what it is that can give a game so much charm, but damn, it's great. And finally, I get to talk about Sonic R's shortcomings. Through my analysis, I came up with 2 issues. Yes, just 2, but boy do they hurt the game as an overall package. The poor character balancing. With the characters you have from the start, plus Robotnik, it's pretty well balanced. However, the secret characters throw it all off. Good luck beating Sonic as Tails doll without taking all the shortcuts. This wouldn't even be that bad, but as a reward for collecting all the Chaos Emeralds, you can unlock Super Sonic as the final character in the game. Super Sonic is a great reward, mind you, but he's simply not fair to race against. Super Sonic can hover over water with no suffering speed, handles way too well for the sheer speed he has, is invincible to projectiles such as Egg Robos and Dr. Robotnik's missiles, and of course he's extremely fast. What's most problematic is that Super Sonic doesn't lose rings! What? Every Sonic game has that rule for Super Sonic. You'd think that would be extremely important for a racing game, but no! In fact, I think Super Sonic should have just been a power-up of sorts for Sonic. Yeah, it wouldn't fix the balancing entirely, but it would be an improvement. Simply let Sonic transform into Super Sonic if he collects 50 rings in a race. And if you thought I was done ranting about Super Sonic, guess what? If you play as Super Sonic, or if Super Sonic is a CPU, the secret characters always fill up the CPU slots. It's stupid, especially because the secret characters are simply worse than the main cast. There's no beating around that. What a mess. Really could have used more than 9 months, guys. Sonic R also has the massive shortcoming that is the lack of content. A mere 5 tracks with little options in different modes from the Grand Prix kills this game for many. I still think Sonic R has enough content to please the single player experience, with unlocking the secret characters and collecting the Chaos Emeralds, and I would say that you can have several fun afternoons playing the Grand Prix with your friends. But you're still reaching to get the most out of Sonic R. And that's what it comes down to, folks. How fun is the base game is what will determine how long you stick around, not the game's content. It's a real shame we got so little. And that was my analysis of Sonic R. Despite its lack of content and rushed nature, it's a much better game than people give it credit for. But the quality means nothing at the end of my analyses. It's what I assess and what people should take away from the video, but with this picture on screen, we're now playing a completely different ballgame. Good game or not, Sonic R, is it really worth your time and worth your money? Well, Sonic R is pretty expensive if you're looking for the Saturn version, but if you're going to play this game, you should definitely play it on the Sonic Gems collection. The Gems collection is a bit pricey new, but can be found at decent prices if you're looking for a used copy. All I can say is that I think it's very fitting Sonic R is featured on the Sonic Gems collection. After all, I'd label Sonic R a gem too. It's not great, but it's an honest-to-God fun time for what little replay value it has. Definitely worth playing with your friends. Sonic R is a deserving time. I hope with this analysis I can expose more people to this forgotten racing game, and have people talk about it once again. I will never say that Sonic R is a flawless game, but I will always insinuate that it's a fun racing game and worth playing. I'm Innocent Christoph Gavin, and I hope to see you at the racetrack.